Hello, are you lying down?
No, I have the phone on the side.
Hmm?
Just because I have the plug-in.
Oh, okay. Where are you, Montana?
No, I just got back to LA yesterday.
How was it? Cold?
25 to 35. Not too bad.
Oh, yeah. And snow?
Good skiing. Yeah. Not as much snow as California,
No.
but sunnier than California.
Okay.
They import Latinos for the ski area for the winter because it's
Any
summer
what?
and they import Latinos, like college kids,
Yeah.
for working at the ski area. Peru, Chile, Brazil, and they come in because it's summer in South America.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they're
yeah.
off of school, so they come here to work for 2 months,
That's
3
cute.
months. Because there's not enough labor in Montana, not enough people.
Imagine it's an empty state.
Baruch Hashem.
So what do you do there? You go skiing?
I have a friend who runs a Kiruv program. And the outreach program was there this week. So there was 30 guys learning and Rebbeim, and so we had Shabbos
Wow.
together. But on
That's-
Thursday and Friday, I skied both days.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, beautiful.
Ah. Your kids ski also?
Yeah, so I have a daughter at home at Eula, so they're off next week. So I'm taking her skiing again next week.
Oh, that's nice. Do you fly there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 hours.
Oh, hi, George.
Not bad.
Evening, how are you? Sorry I missed
you have
last
the-
night.
You have the sound.
Ah,
Yeah.
all right. I was trying to do some on my paperwork. Tomorrow I go teach at the VA.
Oh,
You
Yeah.
could teach them the Daf.
That would take a big achievement. I would have to convert them and then teach them.
well, you're a surgeon, right?
No,
No.
Ernie's a surgeon. I'm the internal medicine equivalent of what he does. I'm a
Oh, okay.
nephrologist, so I'm involved with people with dialysis, managing patients with complications of kidney failure, diabetes, all of that stuff.
That's
Oh,
what David Sherman does. He's a nephrologist.
Correct.
Too.
David Sherman is a nephrologist. That is correct. Yeah. Actually, the whole field originally for many, many years was mostly Jews.
yeah?
Mm-hmm. If you go
Hmm.
back and read about the innovation of the whole field, it was really heavily, heavily Jewish. But
Hmm.
not anymore. Major changes. I'm curious to hear from. Go ahead.
Chinese and Iranians, right?
Yep, Asian. I wouldn't say Chinese. I would say more Asians
Asians,
and
yeah,
Middle
Asians.
East, Middle East and Asians. Yep. Well, all of medicine, to be honest, I see the same thing. A major transition.
All the Jewish doctors went into the nursing home business.
You know what, Ken? I think it's more complicated than that. I have a pet theory of my own that
Yeah.
as Jews, whether you're from or not, there's one thing we don't like: people telling us what to do all the time. We don't follow. We're not good rule followers. Look at Israel. It's a good example. And I think that as medicine is becoming much more rigid and structured and everything is by algorithms, the degree of flexibility for you as an intellectual trying to make decisions and guide your patients is getting more and more limited. And that I don't think produces the type of challenges that we like to deal with. I think
Very
That's right.
interesting insight.
yeah,
Very
I
nice
think-
insight.
because I think we're in. I mean, if you look at
I
the
would
way,
have assumed it was just money, but I think you're saying
oh no,
something
no, no, no.
very,
I think that money is an
very
issue.
interesting.
Yeah, I think it's much more complicated than that. I think money
Yeah.
is looking at us as being only greedy. I mean, there's always an element of money that in everything is affected, but I think that the real sheer factor is that the flexibility of what we used to do with it. I mean, a lot of the academicians that I knew and respected that were Jewish didn't make huge amounts of money, but they loved the intellectual challenge of figuring out what to do with nephrology. The way the kidney works wasn't developed and wasn't understood till only about 60 years ago. That's how recent it is.
Hmm.
So it's interesting. If you go back in your own education, you'll see that when you were in high school and grade school, they taught you about how the heart works, how the lungs work, how the stomach and intestines interact and absorb food. In a very mild way, they teach you a little bit about what the brain does. The kidney was a black box. So they told you it makes urine and it somehow is related to blood pressure control. But if I push people and I say to them, do you understand how the kidney actually makes urine and is able to make urine that's concentrated, not concentrated, and stuff like that? That's completely understood only in the last 50, 60 years.
Mm.
So it's very, very, it's fascinating.
Mm.
Anyway, that and the Gemara go hand in hand, I'm telling you.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So George can hear us now.
I hear
Yes.
you. I figured it out.
What was going on?
There was something wrong with my headphones.
Headphones. But
There was
anyways, we got George. We had George on the phone. So
You had me on the phone. I loved it.
Yeah,
And I was sorry about yesterday night. I couldn't get on.
that's okay.
I was trying to share with them, Ernie, the difference between your field and my field. I said, I'm the thinking side of the operation.
But there was a nephrologist trains in internal medicine. They have to do 3 years of in my time, it was 3 years of internal medicine.
Mhm.
And then they did 2 years and sometimes 3 years of nephrology fellowship.
Correct. That's what I did.
Right. So
I did. But I was commenting that years ago, there was a lot of, it was a Jewish field, Ernie.
correct.
Reno was, the whole development of understanding and the development of dialysis and the whole thing. We were intimately involved with that. That's one area.
Did you know Richard Fine?
Of course.
Yeah, so Richard, he was very talented. Do you know Richard Glassock?
I didn't train with him. I know and I've heard him speak many times.
So I wrote a page, I did kidney transplants in dogs and used verapamil prior to harvesting and showed that we could reduce the creatinine spike. And Richard Glassock was one of my.
Richard is a group. He was, really a big name in the field. That's what I'm saying. He was one of the forefathers of the field.
And
But there's many.
But Richard Fine was a wonderful Jewish guy. Wonderful.
All of them were. Ernie, all of them were all of them were Jews. The guy who was heading the UCLA renal transplant, even now, Gabriel Danovich is a Jewish guy.
Yeah, Gabe Danovich.
Yeah. Then before that, the guy who ran the program, Ira Kurtz, is a Jewish guy. The guy before him, Leon Fine, is a Jewish guy. He's the guy who
Leon
recruited
Fine.
me to come back.
Right, Leon Fine. I remember him.
That's why I'm saying Schindenberger. I don't know if he was Jewish. I don't think
Who
so.
was the guy that got shot? The guy who did the single nephron.
Yeah, that's the Gottschalk. That's it. That's him.
Gottschalk was also a Jewish guy. He just
And
answered all the questions.
you remember there was a. The whole thing. We don't need to bore these poor people with all of this. When we get together for dinner, then we can chat.
But for
commiserate.
Mario and Ken, so the urologist
It's a surgery.
did 2 years of general surgery, and then 4 years of urologic. It was the surgical aspect of the urinary tract, while the nephrologist did the medical aspects, like if someone's kidney failed, and meaning let's say the kidney couldn't excrete the poisons in the bloodstream, and they needed dialysis. The nephrologist did that. The urologist.
Yeah.
Now, if the kidney, for example, was blocked,
Then we call you.
then we would have to be, we were like the firemen to unblock the kidney. Sometimes
right.
the kidney failed just because it was blocked. And if we could, the nephrologist would reach out to us before they did anything. If we could drain the kidney, then kidney would start working again. So we worked very close with the nephrologist.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
Probably one of the closest, maybe cardiology and cardiac surgery, and nephrology and urology are some of the closest relationships. In fact, first of all, George used to send patients from the Valley
Correct.
to my office, and I used to send patients to George to the Valley a long time ago.
Yep. That's the nice part.
Okay. So we're on Pei Omid Aleph, 80. By the way, just some housekeeping. Tomorrow, Surbim Rabbanan is at 8 o'clock. So the Daf Yomi will be at 7:30. It'll be it'll be at 7:30, then followed by the Tsurba.
I even have my own copy now.
You have volume 12. Okay, very good.
And I checked that it is volume 12.
Right. Pei Omid Aleph. So, Ela de Amra, we're talking about a case where the wife made a neder and said, Koinem hanas rachitza alai. I take a neder that I'm not going to have the benefit of washing la'olam im erchatz. If I wash, let's say once, let's say if I wash today, then I'm never going to wash again. Or I'm never going to get the benefit of washing. So that's an example of a husband is allowed to annul such a neder because it's inui nefesh, because it's going to afflict her soul. It's painful not to wash. Mishum hachi meifrlo. He has the right to annul because dehechi tavi. What is she going to do? Tirchatz, if she washes, mitzvah nos rachitza, then it'll trigger the neder, and she'll, for the rest of her life, never be able to have hanov of washing. Now, if lo tirchatz, if she doesn't wash, isla nevula, she's going to be ugly. She's going to be dirty. So since there's no way out, the husband annuls it. However, Rabbi Yossi Savar, he disagreed. Efshar deloy ratza. Why? She can just not wash. Ulenivu loy chashina. We're not concerned that she's going to be ugly or she's going to be dirty. That's not our concern. She doesn't, he doesn't have to be made for such a neder. Let her not wash. So the Gemara says, if that's
well, why don't we answer? Let her be nivala, and our answer would be nivala liyom echad lo chashinan. People are not makbid that everything has to be just beautiful every single day. He can handle one day his wife's not beautiful. He'll know she'll watch tomorrow.
Right. You'd think the Gemara would answer that. The Gemara didn't answer that. But in a sense, it does. Right. The Gemara is going to get there. The Gemara is going to get to where Kenny is suggesting. So first the Gemara tries to deflect what Rabbi Yossi said by saying, Ihachi, if that's correct, then first of all, the language of the Bryce is not correct. Lisni Hachi. It should have said, Rabbi Yossi Oimer, Tanai Zeh Ein Bo Inu Nefesh. Rabbi Yossi should have just attacked fundamentally and said, that neder does not involve the Inu Nefesh, because at least he held that being nivala for a day or whatever it was is not Inu Nefesh. But that's not what the Bryce said. So we need to describe a case that fits what the Tanakhama said and what Rabbi Yossi said. So the Gemara tries something else. The Amra, that what the wife said, Hanos rechitza alai la'olam im erchatz hayom. That if I wash today, I'm not going to ever have hana of rechitza forever. And this is Kenny's answer. So according to the Tanna Kama, the husband's allowed to annul it, because even nivul of one day is inui nefesh according to the Tanna Kama. But Rav Yossi said a nivul dechad yoyma lo yishmei nivul. So Kenny has his answer
Right.
in the
Okay,
second
sorry.
part of the Gemara. No, not washing for one day for Rav Yossi is not severe enough nivul. Fine. Shanis im erchatz.
Ernie, what in the
Yes.
what is the reasoning why a person would even make such a nader? I have
No.
to tell you, as we go through all of these examples, I realize that the Gemara is trying to teach us concepts, and that's it.
Exactly.
But even so, who
Well, you
would
know
come
why,
up with
George?
that type of an idea?
You know why, George? Maybe the husband has been pestering her. Take a shower, or something like that. And she says, you know what? I take a neder and I'm never going to take a shower. Or so, you know what I'm saying? It may be in a
You're
response.
saying it's an out of anger?
Yeah. It's something that she blurted out, or any of these nedorim
Yeah,
may have been blurted because somebody was pestering them. Like when they make the neder, oh, I'm never going to eat in that person's house again. Or what? They were angry, and they uttered a statement in the form of a neder that now they have to get out of. Otherwise,
because the Gemara from the very outset is trying to dissuade people from ever doing any of this. Period.
Exactly. They don't.
I mean, that's the whole point.
Yeah, exactly. That we have to watch what we say. What we say has meaning,
Hmm.
and that's exactly.
And it has consequences.
Besides, I think, George, you hit upon it initially when you said the Gemara covers all bases because it wants to deal with all cases, because it's the concepts that it's dealing with, and it wants to cover. That's why the modern day poskim can go to a Gemara, because the Gemara many times has covered all situations, or very far, what we think is far-fetched.
Yeah.
But the Gemara wasn't far-fetched because it maybe had a certain conceptual thing that unless they described it that way, they wouldn't have been able to get that concept across. Whatever. Okay. So, Shainis Imerchatz. The Gemara accepts that it gave us a case to fulfill the machlokas between Tanna Kama and Rabbi Yossi in a positive way, right? If I wash, then this and this is going to happen. What about imlo erchatz hechidami? Give me an example where she made a negative statement, like if I don't wash, this and this will happen. Ilema, are we talking about a case to Amra, where she said, Titzur hanos rechitza, let the pleasure of washing be prohibited to me la'olam alai im lo erchatz hayom. If I don't wash today, like maybe she made the statement, I got to really take a bath today. And so much so, if I don't take a bath, let such and such happen. That may be why she would have made such a net. So the Gemara says, though, lama lo hafara. Why would the husband have to annul such a neder? Titzachi. So let her wash. Right? She said, if I don't wash, it'll be triggered. So go take a shower and then you don't have to worry about it. Why should the husband be made for the neder? Just push her into the shower and let her wash, and you don't have to worry about this. On Rav Yehuda, it's not that simple. The Amra, what really she said is, Hanos rechitza alai la'olam, let the pleasure of washing be prohibited to me forever, im lo erchatz b'mei mishra, if I don't take a bath in flax water. Flax water was like disgusting. So So that we wouldn't make her do that. So there, I understand where the husband might have to be made for such a net. Okay. However, the Mishnah mentioned two cases. One about washing, one about putting on cosmetics. The kavose diktoni imlo eskashe. I mean, if I don't put on a nice cosmetic, so what would be an analogous case where if I don't wash in flax water, it would be imlo eskashe benef, that I'll take petroleum and I'll use that as a cosmetic. If I don't get makeup with neft, well, that's clearly not considered putting eskashe. That's lichluch. That's making yourself dirty. So Amr Rav Yehuda, the Amra, we're talking about a case where the neder that she made was Hanos rechitza la'olam alai. Let me not have pleasure from washing forever. Im erchatz hayom, if I wash today. Now remember, before we said, well, he doesn't have to annul such a neder, let her just push her into her shower. However, she added a caveat. She said, Ushvua shaloi erchatz. And I take an oath that I'm not going to wash today. Or she says, so it's a combination of a neder and a shvua. Or she says, Hanos kishut alayla oilam. Let me never have pleasure from putting on makeup again. Im eskashe tayom, if I put on makeup today. Ushvua shelo eskashe. And I take an oath that I'm not going to put on makeup. So such an oath is an inui nefesh, and the Baal has a right to be made for. Ravashi, but the language of our Mishnah is not correct then, because our Mishnah started Elu Nedarim Shehu Mefer. These are the Nedarim that a husband annuls. If this is correct, that the case describes a combination, a hybrid between a neder and a shvua, it should have said, "Hi, elu nedarim shvuas maboil lemisnei." The Mishnah should have said, "These are the nedarim and oaths that a husband has a right to annul." So, Ravashi, it's interesting. Ravina and Ravashi were the final redactors of the Talmud Bavli. The Talmud, right? Rav Yehuda Nossi wrote the Mishnah about 180 CE. And then there were about 5 generations of Amoraim. Rav and Shmuel, Rabba and Rav Yosef, Abai and Rava, Rav Huna, and then eventually Ravina and Ravashi. It's about a 200-year span. And most scholars feel that the Talmud was closed about the year 400 in Babylonia. And it was closed by Ravashi. So in many sugyas in Shas, you'll find that sort of a final summation of a complex discussion is made by Ravashi. It's not a coincidence that happens. It's because Ravashi sort of has to tie off the loose ends. So comes Ravashi, in fact, you have to amend our Mishnah to make it fit and say Elu Nedarim and Shvuos. Now, the Gemara says, Iboy Sema. Now, Iboy Sema means if you want, I'll give you another answer. Now, when you learn Gemara and you see an Iboy Sema, you have to recognize that it's because the Gemara is not happy with the first answer that it got. That's usually when you have an Iboy Sema, it's not giving you, multiple choice. It's because it didn't like the first answer. Meaning, they had received a tradition through Rav Yehuda Nossi that the Mishnah was Elu Nedarim. All of a sudden, 200 years later, Rav Ashi is coming around and saying, oh yeah, we're going to amend the Mishnah to mean Elu Nedarim Ushavuos. So that's why the Gemara is not happy. So it gives us Iboy Sema. That, you know what? It's not such a problem that you've amended the Mishnah to say Eilu Nedarim Shvuos. Because you know what? Shvuos Nami Hainu Nedarim. The Torah refers to Shvuos also as a neder. This nan, we learn in a Mishnah that if a person says Kenidre Rishoim, Nader ben Nazir uve Korban uve Shvua. That an example, if you say I'm going to make a neder like Nedarim of wicked people, it's referring to people who made a neder to become a Nazir, or to give a Korban, or to make a Shvua. So you see, Shvua fits into the category of Nedarim. So it's not such a doichek answer. Vom Rabbanon, Richitza ispuine nefesh kiloi rachza. So the Chacham in the Tanakama against Rabbi Yossi allowed a husband to be made for the nedarim of his wife if she took some kind of neder not to wash. So the Gemara says, is it true that washing or not washing falls under the category of inui nefesh? Viramini. I'll show you in a baraisa that it's not so. It means afal pisha aser bekulon on Yom Kippur, we're not allowed to eat or drink or wash or wear leather shoes or have relations. Those are the 5 Yisrum of Yom Kippur. So afal pisha aser bekulon ein onush kares ela ba'oichel v'shoyser. So first of all, Yom Kippur is different than Shabbos. If you violate Shabbos, you get the death penalty. If it was with Eidim and you did it b'mezi. Yom Kippur, if you violate Yom Kippur, it's kares. But you only get kares if you eat or drink, or osa malacha, bilvat, or if you do work on Yom Kippur. Now, it says v'inisem es nafshoy seichem. You shall afflict your souls on Yom Kippur. Now, if it's true that refraining from washing is considered inui nefesh, so b'yom kippurim kirochat l'chayv kares. It should be exactly like eating and drinking. Lacking of eating and drinking certainly is inui nefesh. Well, if refraining or abstaining from washing is also inui nefesh, person should get kares for washing on Yom Kippur. So Amar Rava me'inyana dekra. We, from the language of the pasuk itself, we understand what inui is. Gabi Yom Kippurim dichsiv tanus nafshoy seichem. It says, "You shall afflict your souls." Milsa de yoda inui hashta. What is a kind of torment or affliction that you notice right away? Well, Yom Kippur or any fast day, halfway through the fast, you're already feeling bad by not eating, by not drinking. It's something that you feel right away. Rechitza lo yoda inui hashta. If you don't wash your hands Yom Kippur morning, if you didn't wash for like a week, maybe you'd notice it. But it's not something that's noticeable on Yom Kippur. So, Gabi Nedarim, Tichsiv kol neder v'chol shvuas Yisrael lanu is nafesh. It's anything milsa da asya l'dei l'dei inu. We don't care about now. The chiloi rafta asya l'dei inu. By not washing, if you go long enough without washing, in the end, there's going to be inu. So for Nedarim, lack of washing is considered an affliction. On Yom Kippur, it's not, because it doesn't happen immediately. Refraining from eating and drinking on Yom Kippur, that's something that you recognize right away. Now, Rabbi Yossi argued with the Tanakama and said that on some of the statements, you don't have to annul, because it's not considered inui nefesh. So now the Gemara is Veramid Rabbi Yossi ad Rabbi Yossi. The Gemara is going to show a stira, a conflict, a machlokes between one statement of Rabbi Yossi and another statement of Rabbi Yossi. Ma'ayan shel bnei ha'ir. You have a well that belongs to a certain village. Chayein v'chayei acherim. Chayein koidmin l'chayei acherim. And you have other people not who live in that city. Also that use this water. So the lives of the people in the city take precedence. If there's only a certain amount of water, it's diverted to the people of the city and not to the people outside of the city. Similarly, the animals of the city would use this spring, and other people's animals would use it as well. The animals of the city have precedence. Then kvisasan ukvisas acherim, they did laundry in this well. So if people of the city needed the laundry, and there was only a little bit, and who takes precedence? Kvisasan kodemes lekvisas acherim. The laundry of the city takes precedence. In general, chaye acherim, no, nudin. Chaye acherim, let's say the people are dying of thirst from outside of the city, but then you have laundry to be done in the city. You only have so much water. Chaye acherim koidmin lekvisasa. Then you have an obligation to give the water to the people who otherwise would die rather than the laundry. But listen to this. Rabbi Yossi omer kvisasan kodemes l'chaye acherim. No. Lacking laundry is just as dangerous as not drinking water. It has tsar and has sakana as well. Now you can see the stira. Previously, Rabbi Yossi said washing or not washing is not considered inui nefesh issue. Hashta kvisasam Rabbi Yossi yesh batzar. Gufu kulula kol shekain, washing your whole body. If Rabbi Yossi holds that not laundering your clothing is dangerous and is an inui nefesh for a person, then certainly not washing your body would be considered an inui nefesh. So this will have to resolve tomorrow. We'll leave it.
Realize, Ernie, that as a nephrologist, water takes precedence over everything.